Hello everyone, I'm Coyote Jack, and look at this. I saw this one, and yeah, on this point, a lot of comments are just like what Ministry of Taco retweeted here. So this is the scene.
みっともない。もう中学生でしょ？いつまでこんなもの読んでるの？いい加減やめなさい。
Oh yeah, probably you have heard this one before, where parents are overly strict, or they go as far as saying that you should grow up. That yeah, this is not for you. I remember this shit being told to kids like, "Oh, you should stop playing with your toys." And it kind of ironic because among generations you can still see adults playing with toys, but with a different kind, unless you are into cars. But anyway, continue on.
アキラ、また漫画なんて買ってないでしょうね。ないよ。本当に？まだアニメも見てたら心配になるわ。もう見てない。ねえ、これ誰かいる？ジュース買ったらついてきた。アニメのなんか全然わかんない。私も。
So yeah, like sometimes parents they think they are in the correct decisions to street away from any sort of entertainment because they want their kids to be the best of the best, but you are not going to achieve that if you deprive them from enjoyment in life. Like turning into mindless machines, yeah, you are a shitty parent in my opinion.
私もわかんない。
So yeah, year letters and there is unhappy. So, Minister Takusei again, parents in Japan want their sons and daughters to be boring like them and watch generic variety shows that take away what little joy they have while studying for exams and then wonder why they never see them again as soon as they reach 18. So, among that post, even you see stuff like this, like, God damn, she probably saved up her money to get all those and her parents just threw it away. Yeah, that's an important thing because even among kids, they get money from their parents' allowance, or they they just go and do part-time jobs. I mean, some kids can have their way, and most of the time people will hope on this in through the legal ways. Sometimes you have some bad apples, but just a tiny fraction compared to the most of the kids out there. Like, yeah, they put an investment into something, and they find enjoyment in that. And suddenly the parents saying, "Nah, we should throw that away. You must grow up." Man, I remember. Well, that was going over the top with the topic I'm going to touch. I remember a story of a guy that had a lot of toys, even adult toys, and his parents. That went into news that his parents threw it all away, and the parents on a message said, "You are too grown up for this. We need space, and you're too grown up. You are going to thank us in the future." What did that guy ended up doing? He sued his parents and won. And since this guy knew what kind of toys he had one of those evaluators for well for the specific genre, or should I say, an specialist. I think that's the correct word, an specialist, and it was a lot of money that the parents ended up paying. Of course, that guy told their parents that they were already too adult and getting and into elderly stage of age. Yeah, he told them to fuck off. And I know a lot of parents did that in the past, and they should not be surprised at all for that kind of response from their children, their kids, their sons, their daughters. And like among comment like this, let's read some of this because yeah, this one caught my attention. Hey brothers overseas, this is translated from Japanese. Do you guys have this kind of crazy moms in your country too? I already heard stories like this. I already shared ones myself or some of my friends. In Japan, we call parents like toxic parents, and this were on Mark Freedom here. What awful quote unquote parents they are. Those overly strict quote unquote parents won't allow their daughter to live her life to the fullest. And then here, sending PH, Philippines? It wasn't just for anime. I know my parents tried that with me. They just didn't win. So I regret selling my original Pokemon cards. The thought process of my parents was just different with quote unquote. That will be useless in next years. I could have made some money. I have to agree with that one. Adults can be so selfish, can they? Even a people lying on the roadside might be a treasure to that child. And this one from 3 4 Hairs. Lot of baby boomers had these parents. This is why so many comics and toys from back then are super rare and commands prices of thousands of dollars. Yeah, because even among those baby boomers, they still have in their mind at least one toy, at least one IP, one franchise that they were attached and they want to have a collectible. And they couldn't get it because parents like this. And years later, you have this fucking speculator market that is just reselling those at a high price. And those adults with money are willing to pay it because they want to experience the stuff that they couldn't experience around that time because of parents like this. So continue on what TF of Hearts still said here. But they are still controlling parents today in the US, just not as pronounced. They know full well, but even when their kids grow up, their children grow up, they're still going to hate them because they pride them. Yeah, this is something that well is brought into discussion because if parents still doing like this, I mean, you have technology, you have knowledge, you can search for yourself. Even despite we are living in an age of censorship right now, still you can still find yourself a lot of knowledge to at least realize that maybe your our kids should not be overly strict, but that depends of the parents. And for Japan, yeah, we have heard that there are a lot of new stories and news coming from that kind of mindset. This one, L scheme. Yes, we have them everywhere. Truly the most toxic, evil parents that overstep and completely ignore their children's boundaries and autonomy. They don't even know the definition of boundaries. Yes, I know. It sees by Morgana Depressiva. But it's mostly a religious issue. Many evangelical parents believe everything is demonic and end up destroying or throwing away the child's things because the pastor said Pikachu was demonic. Well, that was in the 90s. I don't see evangelics anymore doing that shit. But yeah, I remember that one. I remember when those evangelic retards said that Pokemon Pikachu is a creation of the devil, and they were saying on open television. And I remember there were cases where across whole Latin America, you see cases where those parents and the grandparents heard all that fucking fear mongering, and yeah, they ended up destroying, burning, throwing into the trash, and insulting, denigrating their children and grandchildren. And that's how you turn that population, that generation. I have to say, it's a generation. You throw almost a whole generation into antagonizing you because you antagonizing them, and they still act like a surprise Pikachu face that they see those. those parents like being antagonized. Yeah, they're demonizing you because look what you did. Why are you acting surprised? At least I was lucky. I'm sure I misbehaved. I had my missteps across my childhood, my teenager age, and yeah, even my mom was actually angry at me, and she was almost on the verge of saying, "Oh, yeah, I'm going to throw away all of your stuff." But at one point, she understood that if she ended up doing that, there was not coming back. There was no way to go back. But some parents don't realize that, and that's the sad thing. So even continue with some more here. Oh yes, it was way worse with parents of the baby boomer stock. They would throw out their kids' toys, comic books, everything while they were away at college all the time, and just I didn't think you wanted it anymore. Yeah, it's that kind of fucking mindset, man. There are still parents like this. Throw everything away like their kid is setting up their life. Even like saying, "Oh, I want my kid to be a grown adult. I want him to be too mature." Congratulations, bitch. You ended up chasing your kid away. Your son, your daughter. Well, let's continue. There are still parents like this. Yeah, we throw away everything away with their kids setting up their life, not even bothering asking if they still wanted the stuff to come out and get it. Just pitch it. They are considered inconsiderate jerks who ended up getting put into the cheap nursing homes in their old age and never visited again. Yeah, that's something that happens a lot. I know it happens in the US, or it's way worse in Latin America when, even poverty is very predominant. And among those stories, they don't even let the parents into a retired house and nurse home. No, they just left them in the original place they were living. Even they don't give a fuck if they die until days later. The awful smell of the rotten corpses hit the authorities. Oh. Yeah, you see a lot of that shit. But even you can say that they are ungrateful kids. I know those exist. But when it comes considering that when you hear stories like this, like why are you don't like your parents anymore? Why you don't interact with them or you keep in contact? By that question, and then they answer, and it's something like this. Well, at this point, it's self-explanatory, man. Even this one, there are a lot of terrible parents out there. Even if they think they were doing it for the future of their kids, they never asked their kids what future they wanted. That's true. And you can say some kids can have delusional thinking of the future or like, yeah, what they are going to do in the future. I can understand that. Even some kids can have some imagination when they are growing up, but it's important to do proper parenting to teach them the right way. But yeah, sad how a lot of this shit has been lost. And even we are seeing the modern day shit, like parents just letting their internet to educate them and being exposed on social media to a lot of disgusting shit. But anyway, you know, yeah, this is something that caught my attention. Yeah, definitely there are many parents like this, and in Indonesia, Asian in the USA, and half the tiger mom stereotype. Oh boy, man. So that's it. Yeah, a lot of people resonated with this one. But that's it. Thanks for watching, and please take care.